Hello students, welcome to the class. Today in this class we are going to take the loud reading of lesson Expert Detectives by Sharda Dwivedi, and this lesson is taken from the book The Broken Flute. Let's read the lesson. Nishad, a boy of 7, also called 7 because his name means the seventh note on the musical scale. Which is the musical scale? Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. So that ni, seventh note. And his 10 years old sister Maya are very curious about one Mr. Nath. So these both children, they are very curious about Mr. Nath. One day, the children's marble rolls into Mr. Nath's room and Nishad gets a chance to see him. And as he sees him, the question comes in his mind, is he a crook on the run? Why his face badly scarred? Why has he no friends? And now the children, they want to find out the answer of these questions. Nishad's mother, who is a doctor, knows Mr. Nath as a patient who is very polite. So let us read the lesson Expert Detectives. As we walked back toward the clinic, Seven said, he doesn't look anything like a monster, Maya. But did you see how thin he is? Maybe he is very poor and can't afford to eat. He can't be poor if he is a crook on the run, I told him. He's probably got millions of rupees stashed away somewhere in that room. Do you really think he is a criminal, Maya? He doesn't look like one. Nishad looked doubtful. Of course, he is one. 7, I said, and he certainly isn't starving. Mr. Mehta told us that Ramesh brings his meals up from the restaurant downstairs. But Maya, Mr. Mehta told us he doesn't work anywhere. So how can he possibly have money to pay for food? Nishad said. Exactly, I exclaimed. He must have lots of money hidden somewhere. Maybe in that trunk in his room. It's probably full of silver and gold and jewels and... What rubbish! Nishad interrupted. I know, I'm right stupid, I told him. By the way, 7, did you see his cars? I couldn't. It was too dark. But I bet he got them during a shootout with the police or something. Mummy told us quite clearly they were Burns cars, Nishad said firmly. Perhaps the police had to set his house on fire to force him out, I suggested. 7 looked unsure. On the Monday following Mama's birthday, 7 went alone with her to the clinic at Girgaon as I was spending the evening with a school friend. When they returned, Nishad told me he had been to see Mr. Nath, and I felt most annoyed that I hadn't been there. 7 had been quite upset about Mr. Nath's gaunt appearance and was sure that he was starving. He told me that he had knocked loudly on Mr. Nath's door that evening and said, "Open the door quickly, Mr. Nath." The man had opened it and asked him, "Lost another marble?" He had obviously recognized my brother. No, said Nishad. He had taken the man's hand in his own and thrust a bar of chocolate into it. Did you get a chance to peek into the trunk, 7? I asked. Nishad looked disappointed. He didn't even ask me in, he said. Then he smiled. But I did find out something, Maya. I went down to the restaurant where Ramesh works and talked to him. Good for you, Mr. Detective, I said, patting him on the back. I hope you question him properly. 7 looked pleased. Ramesh told me that he takes 2 meals for Mr. Nath every morning and evening, and 2 cups of tea, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Ramesh says he is not very particular about what he eats. It's always the same food, 2 chapatis, some dal, and a vegetable. Mr. Nath pays cash and tips well. Ramesh told me something very strange, Maya. 7 added. Almost every Sunday, he carries 2 lunches to Mr. Nath's room, and the same man is with him each time. He is tall, fair, stout, and wears spectacles. Ramesh says his visitor talks a lot, unlike Mr. Nath, who hardly speaks. Well done, Nishat, I told him. Now, that we have made some progress with our inquiries. We will have to sort out all the facts like expert detectives so that we can trap the crook. How you do go on, Maya? Seven sighed. How can you possibly imagine he is a crook? He looks so ordinary. Criminals can look quite ordinary, smarty, I retorted. Did you see the picture of Hyderabadi housebreaker in the papers yesterday? He looked like any man on the street. Nishad looked doubtful. The monsoons broke the next day. Dark clouds accompanied by blinding flashes of lightning and roaring rolls of thunder burst with all their fury, flooding the streets with a heavy downpour. School was to have reopened after that summer holidays, but no traffic could move through the flooded roads and there was an unexpected holiday. I thought I would spend the time usefully. I sat at my desk in our bedroom with a sheet of paper before me. Wrote in large block letters, catching a crook, expert detectives Nishat and Maya Pandit by appointment to the whole world. Then I began writing. About half an hour later, I turned towards Seven, who was lying on his tummy, chin cupped in his palms, reading comics. Want to hear what I have written? I asked. He looked up questioningly. I have listing all the facts we know about Mr. Nath, which might help us to trap him. I said. Want to hear? Seven nodded. Fact number one. I read. His name is Mr. Nath. We must discover his first name. Do you think that is his real name? Maya, Nishad asked. Probably not, I said. Most crooks have an alias. I added a big question mark after Nath. Fact number two. I read on. The tenants at Shankar House say he is mad, strange, and unfriendly. Number three. He doesn't talk to anyone and is mannerless. But he did talk to us, Maya, and Mama says he is very polite, Nishad interrupted. He only talked to us because he had to, I said. And since he was under Mama's medical treatment, he had to be polite. Fact number four. He doesn't receive any letters. Seven nodded. Number five. He has been living in room number 10 of Shankar House for more than a year. I continued. Number 6. He doesn't work and sits in his room all day. Number 7. The kids in Shankar House and even some of the grown-ups are scared of him. Number 8. He has no visitors except for a spectacled, fair, fat man who visits him on Sundays for lunch. Number 9. Food and tea are taken to his room by Ramesh from the restaurant downstairs. He doesn't care what he eats, pays his bill immediately, and tips well. That ends my list. Have I forgotten anything, Seven? Nishad had obviously not been paying too much attention to my list of facts. All he could say was, Poor man, Maya, he must be so lonely if he doesn't have any friends. How can a crook have friends, idiot? I almost shouted. At least he has one friend, the one who meets him on Sundays, said Nishad. A brilliant thought occurred to me just then. That man must be Mr. Nath's accomplice in crime, I said. Maybe he keeps all the loot and he comes now and then to give part of it to his partner, Mr. Nath, for expenses. That's it. I'm sure I'm right. If you insist on calling him a criminal, I don't think I want to discuss anything with you, Maya, said Nishad angrily. He can't be such a bad man if he gives Ramesh such generous tips. Ramesh probably knows something about his past, so Mr. Nath must be bribing him to keep quiet, I said. Nishad glared at me with his arms tightly crossed across his chest. I was beginning to get fed up with him. How can we make any progress with our investigations if you take that attitude, Seven? I asked. I will cooperate only if you give up this idea about him being an escape crook, said Seven. You really make me angry. I almost hit him. I make you angry, you stupid? I shouted. You make me mad. What is the point of all these inquiries if he is not a crook? If you think he is nobody, what is the idea of bothering about him? Please tell me. Nishad looked thoughtful. I would like to find out why he is so thin and why he is so lonely. I want to know why he doesn't have any friends and lives alone. Try to understand Seven, I told him. If he has lived in Shankar house for a year and hasn't made a single friend, there is something wrong. He is obviously scared that someone will recognize him and give him up to the cops. Maybe no one's tried to make friends with him. Nishad protested. Why should anyone bother? You have seen what a nasty bear he is, I said. I don't care, said Nishad stubbornly. I like him and I am going to try and be his friend. Friends with a crook? Ha! You are crazy, Seven, I said. The cops will take you to jail with him. Do you want that to happen, you idiot? Nishad merrily glared at me and quietly walked out of the room. My theories seemed to have made no impression on him at all. So, here the loud reading of the lesson over. One instruction for all of you. You all will read the lesson, underline the hard words which meanings you don't know and find out. Some hard words I'll be giving to you. These are some hard words. Monster, that is means a giant. Stashed away, hidden away. Tips well. You know that in restaurant when we eat, we used to give a tip to the waiter. So it gives a generous tip. Sort out means to arrange systematically. Crook, criminal. Retorted means answered in an angry or funny way. Downpour, a heavy fall of rain or heavy rainfall. Protest means disapproval, disagree with something. Glared, stared in an angry way. So in the next video, I will explain you the lesson part number 1. But you all have to read the lesson and underline the hard words. Thank you.